Alright guys, so here's one I've actually gotten a couple requests about too. I'm a little uncomfortable with the comparison only because these are two very, very different shoes. But I'm going to go ahead and we'll just do a quick rundown, kind of a product comparison between the two. Here we have our adiPower Predators, obviously. Those ones are in a size 7, as you can see there. And then we also have our CTR360 Maestri 2s, also in a size 7, you can see there. So we'll go over the basics real quick. First of all, two big differences. These ones retail at $180. These ones retail at $200. Honestly, they're both worth every nickel. They're very comfortable shoes. They do the job they're asked to very well. There's really no reason to think that these ones are worth any less than what's being asked of them for the time being. The Maestris, as of right now, actually I'll do a quick rundown, guys. What I'll do is I'll kind of go category by category. We'll go with upper, we'll do outsole, we'll do sock liner, and we'll talk about fit and feel. Alright, so first the upper. On the CTR360 Maestris, obviously, Maestri 2s I should say, obviously the upper is in that Kangol Light material. It is a synthetic material. It's defined as, it has lots of natural leather-like qualities. So the stretch is the same as a leather, the fit is definitely similar, the feel is definitely similar to a leather. Only difference is they don't take on nearly as much water. They actually prevent water uptake up to 20% better than a natural material. Definitely a comfortable material, definitely a durable material. It is absolutely, like I said before, it is definitely worth the money. Over here on the adiPower Predators, the natural material at the forefoot, which extends from this seam right here around to this seam over here, and then actually the natural material on the adiPowers is not, it's actually just the shell right up here, so it's not the material underneath. This is just, it's like a covering right here in natural material. But anyway, the Taurus actually also kind of, it keeps water out fairly well. I wouldn't say it's really, it really compares to the Kangol Light. Probably closer to a natural material, a natural leather. The Taurus, however, is, it's a very durable leather. You're not going to find a lot of ripping with these ones. You will see ripping later on. You'll start to see fraying and ripping right here and then right along where the outsole meets the upper too, but it's, it's going to take a while. It's not something that's going to happen straight away unless, you happen to get a defective pair of boots, which does happen. But they're both of these materials here are excellent. They're very durable, they're tough, they're also very comfortable. I'd recommend either one. So truthfully, when it comes to the upper, I'd say you probably got to push when it comes to, just the material of the upper. Some features of the upper on the CTR360 is you've got these dampening pods at the forefoot here for receiving a pass. You've got these fins right on here on the instep here that are essentially for making a pass, actually. Also in receiving. It's supposed to kind of deaden the ball when you receive it on your instep. And then on the some of the features on the upper on the adiPowers, obviously, are the Predator element right up here, which is actually assists with a couple of different things. It helps with putting a little bit of swerve on the ball, but it also assists with getting a little bit more power out of your shot. This layer right up here, the rubber layer that's on top here, actually does project the ball just a little bit more for you, so that's obviously a bonus. But again, I think, technology and material all considered, I'd say these two are definitely a push when it comes to the upper. When it comes to the outsole, you've got on the outsole of the Maestris, you've got a bladed stud. Obviously, it's got that circular pattern or triangular pattern, whichever you want to look at it. But right on the middle of the forefoot there, the blades on the back of the shoe, same drill. They're pretty standard bladed for the heel there. Really nothing special going on with the outsole there. The blades are they're an intense stud, so you definitely have to kind of be careful when you're playing on turf with these ones. But really no more or less than the original Maestris. Well, actually, that's not true. I shouldn't say that. The original Maestris did have less of a stud, but nevertheless, they are. You just got to be a little bit more careful on turf. I can't even say anymore that you really shouldn't play on turf with them, but you should definitely be mindful when you're cutting and turning. And then when you got the adiPower, you've got a standard bladed boot. Really nothing overly special about the blades, like we talked about before. There is a little bit of a balance issue. It's not a huge one, though. We haven't had anybody break anything or anything like that, so just same drill. You know, you got to be careful when especially when you're coming down. Actually, when you come down on these, you try to come down as square as possible. If you're coming down on one side of your foot or the other, you're going to find it will definitely buckle on you. With the outsole on this one, however, you also have the power spine, which definitely does affect the force of your shot. Some people have questions about whether that is actually the case. It is definitely true, and we'll show you actually some video of that later on. We'll give you more details of that. We're actually going to test out a cleat and you know, stick like a radar gun on it, and you can see for yourself. But yeah, other than that, obviously one has the external heel counter. That would be the adiPower Predator. As you can see, it's definitely built onto the outside of that upper. It's part of the outsole, but like I said, built on the outside of the upper. Over here, no external heel counter, just kind of a standard heel construction. The heel counter is actually, as you can see, on the inside of this shoe right here. It is solid, but it doesn't absorb as much shock when you're coming down or running hard. If you run on your heels, if you have high arches or something like that, high arches will probably do a little bit better with an external heel counter than it would with an inbuilt one. So when it comes to outsole, the reason why I probably give the advantage to the adiPower is simply because it is a more versatile outsole. If you want to wear this on artificial turf, even if you want to wear it on AstroTurf, it's really not a big deal. You can do that. With the Maestris, I definitely don't recommend them on AstroTurf, only because of that stud right there. There's just it doesn't release out of the turf well enough for it to be 100% safe. These ones, there's nothing to stick in the turf. I mean, it stays in the turf when you're, cutting and running and all that sort of stuff, but if you're twisting if you're essentially turning rapidly on your foot, you don't have to worry about this stuff catching and injuring you, so. And then you've got the sock liners. Sock liners on these ones, actually, I prefer the Maestri sock liner. They both have pour-on inserts in them, so, you definitely do get, good balance, good cushion on them. The pour-on is essentially, or at least the idea behind the pour-on, is to offer you just a little bit more cushion, kind of absorb shock a little bit better, the same way a heel counter, an external heel counter does in a shoe. The thing about pour-on in these ones is, it's actually, like I said, the pour-on on the forefoot and on the heel right here, it does absorb a little bit of shock a little bit better. But there's also some substance to this sock liner. You're going to find on this one that the sock liner on this one is kind of it's not as thin as the sock liner on the adiPower. There's a little bit of depth to it. So as a result, what ends up happening is you're going to find that the pour-on is just kind of a natural addition. You're not getting too much shock absorption. You can still feel the bottom of the shoe. You can still so essentially you don't lose touch with the ground. And I know that sounds silly, but basically, if you've got too much foam and not enough, material, not enough, contact between your foot and the ground, you're going to find that foam just feels out of place. There's too much pressure coming up from the foam. So obviously, less of an issue when it comes to the Maestri. However, with the adiPowers, the sock liner, it has those pour-on inserts, definitely. And, and I think most people would agree that those pour-on inserts are a nice little bonus. They're a good addition, but the only problem is you're going to find that it's not a substantial sock liner. It's just like we illustrated in the T90 video right there that we just did a minute ago. It's not as substantial a sock liner. You can see it's very, very thin. There's not a lot of depth there. It's it's just basically it's one layer of foam on there, so it's definitely like I said, there's just not much to it. It's very, very thin. It does cradle your heel well, no doubt about that. But at the same time, there's really no accommodation for your arch on the instep, and there's also just kind of out of nowhere, here's some pour-on inserts, and there's really nothing else to it. So you can really feel the pressure of that foam underneath your feet. So obviously, that's not the greatest feeling on the bottom of your foot. It's definitely not the worst sock liner out there, no doubt about that. But it doesn't really hold up to the CTR360. It doesn't really even hold up to the T90, honestly. But anyway, aside from that, your other features on here, obviously the adiPowers are considerably lighter, lighter to the tune of, if I'm not mistaken, I believe about 2.5 ounces. So you definitely do notice the difference there when you start to, get into the game. You're doing a lot of running. You notice the difference between the two of them. But honestly, it's not something you hold in your hand and just go, "Oh, this is really shocking." It's really, really different. They are different, but again, same drill. It's not something that you have to have when it comes to the weight. You know what I mean? The other thing about it is that with the increased water uptake on these ones right here, because they take on more water, you're going to find that they slog you down a little bit in wet weather. Whereas the Maestris, really, they don't take on enough water for it to really be an issue. So, but anyway, that's our comparison. Last thing about it, obviously, bag with the Maestri, no bag with the adiPower. Obviously, that does, for a lot of people, that actually makes a difference. So, I'm really not, there's just definitely something I got to throw in there. Plus, you get your Nike Soccer Plus registration information with the CTR360, and no such features with the adiPower. But nevertheless, honestly, when it comes down to it, you've got upper is a push between the two of them. Outsole, you've got the slight edge to the adiPower, and then sock liner, you've got the slight edge to the Maestri. So all in all, I mean, these are two very, very competent boots. They're both extremely comfortable, fit and feel, works for a lot of feet. I mean, a lot of feet. So, that's not really a deciding factor either. So, I mean, honestly, which one fits your foot better? And, a lot of people decide by which brand do they prefer. And while I don't necessarily agree with which brand you prefer, sometimes that's what you got to pick to choose between the two. Anyway, if you guys like them, feel free, pick them up right over on GoldStore.com. If you want to, if you have any questions, leave them right in the comments. We always take care of you guys, and we got more stuff coming both tonight and tomorrow, so stay tuned. Thanks a lot, guys.